So I get this question a lot, like, what is my process behind creating a project? And I feel like with this project, in particular, Responsibilities, it was definitely something I had a hard time naming the album at first. So Possibilities, the EP that I released, I felt like the name came from the songs kind of being all based on possible outcomes and just things that represented as possibilities to me. And then when I was trying to come up with album names, that's actually the first time that I was thinking about the bigger picture and how do I want to relate it to my last project, or do I want to come out with something completely new. And I ended up coming up with this idea to do a couple of illities or a couple of itties at the end of all of the albums. And so I was trying to think of something that related to the music that I was putting out now. And subconsciously, I realized that it also had to do with where I'm at right now in my career. So Possibilities was kind of the beginning when everything was just possibilities and nothing was set in stone. I didn't quite have the experience yet. And now Responsibilities has subconsciously become the album that I've released in the time of my life where I have the most responsibilities to gain opportunities, which now has inspired the name of my third album, which will be coming out hopefully next year if I can keep on this flow, or maybe earlier, which is going to be Opportunities. And so overall, the meaning of the whole album came to me as I was going through the process. Wasn't something that was necessarily pre-planned. It's kind of something that kind of just got its own meaning through time, which was really interesting and cool to watch. So I've had a lot of challenges working on this project. It was definitely something that was in the works for way longer than I anticipated. And it's always money and time. I like to keep myself very busy. One of the busiest people that I know. But I'm glad I'm doing everything that I love to do. But then also money is always hard because especially studio time and recording and mixing and mastering and like being a musician is an expensive thing to do if you don't already have the resources to do it yourself. So money and time were the biggest struggles going around. And the way I kind of got through that was by first I had to find a studio that was located closer to me because I lived in the middle of St. John's, and in Portland, St. John's isn't very central. So at first I found a studio that was that could work with my time frame, which was generally like earlier in the days and not later at nights. And then I worked out a really good deal with an amazing engineer that actually helped me out with some recording stuff for a good discount, which was really, really nice. So I ended up getting because of my talents and my networking abilities, it was really grateful to get the discount that I did with the recording studio sessions. And then the studio closed. So I had another obstacle to go through because the studio ended up closing and I almost lost all of my stems before the project was finished. And thankfully I was able to pick everything back up at DB Nation, where the engineers really helped me try to get everything done over there. And, time was still a factor, and I just had to go with the flow and accept that it wasn't going to be released at the time that I thought it was going to be, but just knowing and trusting the process that it'll come out when it's supposed to come out helped me relieve a lot of that stress. So the production of this album was solely at first supposed to be just my productions and my beats that I've been creating on Ableton, and it's a kind of combination of music that I've had in the vault for a while that I just haven't done anything with, and then a couple of new tracks that I produced on the spot. And I ended up having some co-producing, and I had a Swedish artist actually work on a song that was released as a single before it was on the album, but still one of my favorite songs actually on the album, When You Realize. And I met this Swedish producer Apollo through my good friend Shelby, who produced one of her songs. And it was a really cool process where I just sent a voice memo of myself singing the song with a ukulele in the background and then some like minor beats in there, like a little beat MIDI just to get the idea. And he sent me back this crazy, insane track that I've been obsessed with. So I'm very excited about that. And then at the studio that I was recording at, I actually co-produced Gone with Ryan, the engineer that I was working with over there. And then when I moved over to DB Nation, Max91 and I co-produced Pull Up. So the first studio session I came in, I didn't have any stems to work on. And so I was like, I'm feeling like I want to get back into making beats again because my music equipment wasn't working for a long time. So I ended up putting a little guitar track down and then coming up with some ideas for the beat and the structure. And we kind of collaborated on that beat. So overall, there are 3 engineers other than me who have collaborated on the beats for responsibilities, but most of them are my productions from Ableton. So when I first started the idea of this collaboration album, it was actually sparked by me meeting with so many insanely talented artists in the city and having so many friends that were super talented artists and constantly having these conversations like, we need to collaborate, we need to collab. So I started making a list in my phone, in my notes, about artists that I've been wanting to collaborate with over the years. And I had this vault of beats, and to me it was a lot more simple, and my process of writing music is usually that I just come up with a verse and a hook, and I will just stop there and then come up with the rest of the song later. So I just had a bunch of songs in my vault that were just a verse and a hook, and I put them all together and I put them in a Google Drive, and I would send out the Google Drive to people that I wanted to collaborate with, and it was first come, first serve. So I probably sent it to like 30 or 40 artists, friends of mine, and so many people were like, oh my gosh, yes, I'm gonna hop on this one. But people would take a long time to get back to me, and so I didn't have all of the first choices on all of the songs because I definitely made certain beats with certain people in mind, but then they just didn't get me the beat back in time, so somebody else swooped it. But I'm overall so happy with everybody who ended up featuring on this album, and I'm very much looking forward to being able to feature with the artists that I had to miss on it as well. But I know our time will come, and that's why I just love collaborating in general, and I felt like I needed to do this collaboration album so that I could get all of those urges to get collaborations out of the way. And so it's really exciting because now when I have a big showcase, I have a lot of artists that are local to come bring up and showcase with me. And I feel like each artist brought, a different flavor and a different style and genre to the albums, which is really, really awesome as well. And I got to have music with a lot of my good friends. So the process was first come, first serve. And some of them I had in mind did end up getting on those tracks. And some of them were actually people that I didn't even I was like, oh yeah, I didn't even think of you on this song and you killed it. So that was really, really exciting to kind of get surprised by the spontaneity of the project as well. So my studio sessions have always been, what is the word? I've always been very energetic in a studio. When I get in a studio, I feel like I'm in like a kid in a candy store and my brain's on crack and I'm thinking 100 miles per hour. And I go, usually if I'm not making a beat and I'm just doing vocals, I get behind the mic and I do a take and then redo and then take and then harmony, double harmony. And then I'm just one and then the other and then another and another. And then I'll come in and I'll be bossing the engineer around oh, I need more highs in this end. And then make the reverb tail here. And then we're going to chop it right here. And we're going to transpose this. I get really intense. And then with making beats too, it's the same. I feel like my ideas come so quickly and I need everything to be done the way it is in my head as quick as possible. So I'm always just going 100 miles per hour in the music studio. And so, I don't know, that's always been really fun to me. And I feel like it's a good, I always love it when I'm vibing with my other friends or other features or engineers who also have that same kind of quick creative process. And we can learn things from each other and then they can throw an effect on something. And I can watch how they are EQing something and we'll kind of talk about the science behind the sound and everything. And so it's always kind of a nerd out ADHD moment where especially if the engineer and I are both kind of on the same wavelength, will just be like, I've probably gone through 3 songs in an hour session before, with like all the mains, all the vocal harmonies, all the ad libs. And I think the quickest that I've ever completed a whole entire recording of a song was like 20 or 30 minutes. Because especially sometimes it's like, if I'm freestyling, it'll take a little bit longer, but if I have it pre-written, it's very quick. So over the course of, I think, man, it's hard to say, because I started 2 or 3 of the beats before the pandemic. And then they kind of just became a part of my vault for a while. And when the pandemic started, I got my laptop with the Trump money. So one thing we could thank you for. I got that money and I was like, I need to get a laptop because I'm no longer in school and I no longer have access to music equipment to make beats. And that was a really stressful time for me, where I was just writing melodies and doing things in my phone and GarageBand, and I wasn't actually able to produce anything. And then I got that money in the middle of the pandemic and got a laptop, immediately got Ableton, and I whipped out my dusty old MIDI controller from a while ago that my mom got me from high school and started making beats again. And then for a while, I kind of took a break after I made the beats, and I was trying to figure out what it is that I was doing with the beats. So I feel like over the course of about 3 years, I've been kind of on and off working through the project. But if I consecutively put all the time that I worked on it in a crunch and like took all the space out that I was taking breaks, I would say probably it took 1.5 years, maybe about 1 year, to get the beats produced, to record the vocals, to find the features, to wait for the features to record their vocals, to mix it and to master it, and then for the release to happen. And then now I feel like I'm still not even fully done with it, because I'm still working on promo and footage and the tour. So it's kind of feels like it's still an ongoing project. But as far as the release goes, yeah, probably over the course of 3 years / 1 year, if we took all of the break chunks out. Oh man, I'm very excited to see what is next for Rainezra, especially because I've recently developed a team. So I went and I saw a Lorde concert for free, and I was just thinking about like, man, what does it take to like open up for an artist like this, or for an artist to like have this insane of a production? Like, obviously it requires a team of people. Like, if I wanted to get even anywhere near that route, like there's no way I could do it by myself. There's lighting people that come into play. There's camera people. There's instrumentalists. There's background vocalists. There's you have to have management, social media. There's so many things. And so, I mean, I'm lucky to have a lot of talented friends with a lot of amazing skill sets. And I've gathered a bunch of them who have just been willing to go with the flow and believe in my artistry, to try and help me with things that they felt like I've needed. And so I have a team now of people helping me plan a tour. So right now the tour is the first step forward, and it's going to be a baby tour. We're going to eventually make our way to a full band tour, where I'm hopefully going to go to like the East Coast. And right now we're going to just focus on this little coast area from Seattle to San Francisco area. But hopefully in the next year or two, we'll be taking the full band all the way across the world, around the US. And that's kind of, I don't know, I'm very excited to see where it goes. And now that I have a manager as well, Audrizi, she's very connected, very good at networking and meeting the right people. And I feel like making it in the music scene is all about connections. And to me, making it is just being able to not be broke. Being financially stable is making it to me, because I feel like there's like being a celebrity is kind of beyond making it. That's like you're like set. But I feel like you can still make it and be not a huge celebrity, and you can still have a good amount of money from your career. And that's kind of where I'm trying to make it, just where I'm big enough where I can have a platform to elevate youth, since I'm mentoring youth in music, and to make a good financial income from it. So just trying to navigate the financial side of things is going to be the only obstacle in the road, but hopefully tours and getting all my merch out and getting new albums out and meeting people, and hopefully some celebrity collabs or like semi-celebrity collabs will be in my future. But as long as I'm manifesting, the biggest thing is just opening for a big artist and performing on a big stage. So manifesting that as the future for Rainezra. But there's a lot of things that are set in stone, and I'm excited to see where it takes me. Bye. So, man, I feel like the things that I need to work on the most are learning producers' names and learning venues. Because stages, I mean, as long as I can get a good couple thousand audience members, lighting, cameras, backup dancers, and some like fog machine or something like that, that would be like the like bucket list dream come true type of performance that I could do. So honestly, if I could even get the opportunity to perform like as a headliner or something on something as crazy as like the VMAs or something like that, I feel like that'd be bucket list material. I feel like within 2 years I could see myself at Moda and at like Washington Square, bigger spots like that. But I feel like the only stages that people really like Coachella would be awesome, some music festivals. I think that's really where I'm gonna try to hone down in the next couple years. But 5 years down the line, I would hope that I would make it far enough to be on a stage as big as like the VMAs or the Grammys. That would be really cool, even as an opener or just as an up-and-coming artist that's not being nominated. Maybe being nominated. Who knows? Bye. So the thing that has kept me the most grounded throughout making this album, I would have to say is, I mean, music in general keeps me grounded. So the project itself kind of kept me grounded because I feel like I was going through a lot. Everybody was going through so much during the pandemic, and it was my way of being like, oh, here's like my personal diary that I feel okay sharing with the world. Little bits of my life and little bits of things that I'm going through, and sharing things and hearing people relate to my music has been really motivating to keep me trying to do as much as I can with this project and keep recording and keep reaching out to people as many times as I kind of got discouraged that things weren't going to be moving forward and maybe I should just completely just drop it. I'm proud of myself for keeping my head straight and just doing it. And a lot of that came from people listening to the project and getting excited about the songs and already wanting to learn all the words. And I think the thing that just helped me the most was honestly building my team. I got a personal assistant. Thank you, Ryan. I have too much going on in my brain and I'm such a busy person that the only way I was able to get a lot of things done is by having somebody who literally let me boss them around and be like, hey, like I need this done. And they'd boss me around and be like, oh, you need to get this done. Like, Rain, you need to make this schedule or you need to do this. And so I feel like school was always really helpful in that sense, or living with your parents because you had somebody at least keeping you in check and making sure that you were keeping track of your responsibilities. And I needed that a lot in order to get this project done. So I would say the motivation of people enjoying the music that I was creating and getting excited about it with me, and the support that I had through my team and even my peers, because they were, my business partners at the time, Ladies of the Rose as well, was helping me get a lot of opportunities and experience with networking and meeting the right people to really help me propel my career forward and get rid of a lot of the boundaries that I thought were there. And so that was very motivating. I feel like networking and meeting the right people and the right support. Bye. So the advice that I would give to young artists looking to be where I'm at today is that, yes, you can manifest things And it helps / sometimes it only works if you are also putting in the work. I feel like there's a lot of stigma behind being a musician as a career option, and that's something that I've tried to do a lot of work on with my youth mentorships in music, is try to show all of the different options that there are in music, because realistically, performing and making it as a recording artist is definitely something that is a lot less realistic to make financially stable unless you really know the right people and you have the right connections and you're social and you're on top of social media, because at this day and age, you don't really need talent to make it in that sense as an entertainer. So really evaluating all of the options and finding your niche. For me, my niche was producing music and working with kids and like teaching music and spreading the music that way. And also I feel like the niche that I've developed the most right now, which has helped propel my personal music career, was actually having an eye for other talent and being so social and having so many talented friends and knowing how to connect people to the opportunities that they needed. So, all the ideas that have flowed to me that I just randomly get, I always write them down and I always try to actually like go forward with making them happen. So if I have this idea like, oh man, this person and this person would probably do this really cool show together, or make such a cool collab, or this business needs live music, or like all these random ideas that I get, just trying to actually make them go into fruition, and realizing that any obstacle in life that there is a way around it. And it's all about the work that you're going to put in to make your way around that obstacle. So, really, I mean, even at the moments where it seems like nothing is possible, just try to remember how quickly things can change and how change is scary, and which is a big reason why people don't take the risks to make big moves that are risky. But sometimes you also need to make mistakes to know what not to do. And every time that you feel like you failed, remember that all the people who have made it also had to fail first. There are so many times where I felt like, you know what, it's just not going to be realistic. It's just, it's going to take too much money. I'm going to have to do like waitressing on the side at least, or just always teach, or maybe I should just do I don't know, belittling my career opportunities because of what the world has told me I can actually do. But I feel like as long as you're trying to if you're looking at the obstacles and you're just trying to get around them, you're going to find your way around them. And you're going to make it to where you want to make it. So try to manifest, but also work really hard and never let the obstacles discourage you from making it forward. Bye. I'd like to do one more shout out to the team who's been helping me, especially over the past week or two. I've assembled a full team of people helping out the Rainezra movement, which it's really awesome, because I'm no longer thinking about myself as an individual artist, but I'm thinking about myself as an entity and as like a brand and as an aesthetic for the first time. And a lot of it is also me being able to create opportunities and purpose in my friends' lives, which is really, really awesome, and opportunities and purpose in youth that I'm mentoring because they have somebody to look up to. But and really like to thank everybody who's been putting in time and believing in me for the past, especially week and a half since I've dropped the album. I feel like I dropped the album and a lot of people kind of came out of the shadows and were like, oh my goodness, okay, you are really, really like kind of recognized all the hustle that I've been putting in, because people don't see all the hustle unless you post about it on social media. And now that I finally have been posting things on social media, I feel like people are kind of starting to take me more seriously and come out of the shadows and offer to help me. And you know what? Like minds work really well together. And so I'm taking full advantage of everybody who is willing to help, and I'm just so extremely appreciative, because I've already come so far in this past 2 weeks and done a lot of things I would have never gotten the chance to without them. So big thank you to the Rainezra team, and very excited to see where we are, you know, a year or two from now. And also, big shout out to Tone Deff for doing this video and this interview. So thank you for that as well. And yeah, looking forward to seeing the content, and hopefully this interview or this video will be something for me to look back at and do like a reaction video too. So excited to see what happens with this as well.